Hey YouTube, welcome back to Axis and Allies, the Garrison. This is Dtroy once again coming to you with another episode of commentary and review, coming to you from the bunker here in Rochelle Park, New Jersey. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and as always, welcome back. All right, guys, we're going to start this episode by reviewing the last set of episodes or content that I created for you guys to watch. All right, I believe that we last time I believe that we reviewed all the way up to more than halfway through round 5. I'm going to start with the next episode. What is it? Video, which I think it was video 5.7 through 6.1. So that would cover the end of round 5 and the beginning of round 6 with Germany. All right, so let's start with the first commentary. The first commentary is by Sunny New. Now, Sunny New is one of those YouTubers who are currently playing another YouTube Wars game along with War Party, Bluegrass General, No Limit, and Hunter Jones. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm forgetting somebody there, but I apologize if I'm forgetting one of you guys. Okay, so yes, very interesting game that they're having as well. Okay, I suggest that you guys go ahead and check out that particular game. It's very interesting as well. All right, so Sunny New wrote, "Good luck, allies. Great job, Axis." What are you trying to say, Sunny? That the allies are losing and the Axis are doing well? All right, well. Listen, it's still a close game. I know that the UK, was invaded through a sea line operation. We know that the UK has collapsed, but the Allies are not yet out of the war. Please remember, we're playing with the BBR rule set, okay, which is a totally different rule set that you guys have not played with. So the game dynamics are different, and as a result, okay, the game is not over. Okay, so anyways, let's go ahead and read what Stephen Gilchrist wrote. Okay, he wrote, "Looks like Sire is setting a death trap for America and the British fleet in Sea Zone 91." Yes, definitely. Early round 6. Okay, Field Marshal Sire Blood recognizing that there aren't really that many victory objectives, okay, and victory cities to be taken up in the area of Northern Europe, realizing that he decided to go down south and bring in the base or the majority of a good chunk of his firepower into the Mediterranean by bringing his fleet into Sea Zone 91, okay? Of course, that is in a way, it is a death trap because Sire recognizes that it is in the Mediterranean where a good chunk of the victory objectives are located, okay? In the Mediterranean region, you have the victory objective of North Africa. You have the victory objective of the Mediterranean. They are within reach of the Horn of Africa. They're also within reach of European oil. These are all victory objectives that become accessible by the Germans going into Sea Zone 91, bringing in ships, bringing in ground units as well as their air force. Okay, so it makes sense. So it is kind of in a way, if you see it, it is a death trap. It is an ambush. It is a way of the Axis powers improving their odds. It's a smart strategy, and I give props to my good friend Sire for going down south into the Mediterranean. It makes a lot of sense for him to do so. All right, No Limit wrote, "Given the time frame, the combined U.S. and United Kingdom fleet has no choice but to go towards the Mediterranean. If they want to protect the VC, I'm going to assume VC means victory component or victory objectives in Egypt, because that would slow down the Axis juggernaut in the Jewel of Africa." Okay, so what you're saying, No Limit, is that the US and the UK now have no choice but to focus on the Axis fleet in the Mediterranean. Okay, Okay, that's an option that the allies have. Okay, but I'm not sure that's the way to go. To be honest, okay. Um, the reason is because the Axis, okay, are very powerful in the Mediterranean right now, and anything that the U.S. or that the Allies do will place the American Navy and the British fleet in jeopardy. Okay, reason being because the Axis powers have not only a formidable fleet at this point in time in the Mediterranean, but they also have a tremendous air force, a considerable air force that provides them with a lot of firepower. Hence, the American fleet, if it goes towards the Mediterranean, can be potentially destroyed or sunk to the bottom of the sea. So that's something that I'm not quite certain. I'm not saying we won't go there, but it's something that we as the Allies have to contend and deal with. All right, so Stephen Gilchrist again wrote, air bases in Romania also give further reach into the Atlantic. Okay, all right. One of the things that Germany did, okay, once it took over the UK, and due to the fact that the entire, a good chunk of the UK or the British Treasury now was in German possession, it allowed the Germans to go crazy buying a lot of hardware and a lot of options. What I mean by options are air bases, naval bases. Well, the Germans ended up buying an air base in Romania. The beautiful thing about buying an air base in Romania, it's a very good move. It makes sense tactically for Sire to do that. The good thing is that it not only places Moscow now within range of the Germans and the Axis, because the Italians also have use of that air base, but also now the Axis powers can now have greater range into the Atlantic. It's a force multiplier, buying and placing an air base in Romania. It becomes, in essence, a force multiplier. So now even the American Navy and the British fleet have to consider the possibility that the Air Force in Romania, the German Air Force or Axis Air Force in Romania, can strike and come at them and sink whatever they place in that off the coast of Europe in the Atlantic. Okay, so yes, it is a smart move, and then one that I see why Sire would do so. All right, so my teammate who's playing, controlling, and who's commanding the Anzacs and Russia. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. Excuse me. Dutch took over command of Russia. All right. Our good friend War-Torn was unable to continue playing with Russia. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot of things going on right now with family and work and a few other issues that he has to deal with first. So right now, War-Torn ceded control or command of the Soviet Union to Dutch. So Dutch is my teammate, okay, also, and he's currently controlling not only Anzac, but he's also in France, but also controlling Russia, okay. And he wrote, okay, great video again, Dtroy. This series is so much fun to watch, and I think greatly appreciated by the community. One detail though, you forgot a German control marker on London and Scotland. Yes, I did, and I corrected the error already, and I placed control markers on Scotland and the UK. And once again, my brother, thank you so much for your commentary and support. You know what, Dutch, and this also goes out to you guys in the community. I very much appreciate the support that you guys are giving me. I also appreciate that you guys find this sort of stuff rewarding, and ultimately I do it for you guys. Again, I said this before, I do it because I enjoy it, but I wouldn't do it if I wasn't getting a positive feedback from you guys. If you guys were not giving me that, I doubt very much that I would do this, because what would be the point? As much as I enjoy it, it would be for no reason. Okay, so in any case, if it wasn't for your support, I wouldn't be doing these videos, whether it be commentary, review, YouTube wars, customizations, or any other type of videos, okay, that I put out there. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't because you guys were getting something out of it and because of the support that I get from you, okay? So once again, my brother and my brothers in general, thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead with the next video, and I believe that's going to be 6.2. Okay, and that will be the turn for Russia. Okay, and let's scroll down here a bit and just bear with me, guys. Let's see who wrote what. Okay. Okay, Matt Todd. Matt Todd wrote, "Thanks, Dtroy, for taking the time out of your obviously busy schedule to do these videos. I await each with great anticipation." Thanks, Matt. Once again, same theme. If it wasn't for your support, I wouldn't do this sort of thing. Okay, so very much appreciate your comment and your support. And yes, I am a very busy man, like you guys are yourselves. You know, I don't know where I find the time. I think one of the reasons why I'm able to do this sort of stuff is because I make the time, and I'm a very light sleeper. I think I sleep maybe 4, sometimes 3, 4, sometimes at max 5 hours a day. So the fact that I really don't require much sleep allows me to do this hobby, to do what I do, to create content for you guys to enjoy as well. So, you know, I amaze myself at times because I am really very busy. Okay, I put in sometimes a good number of hours of work. I have my family and I have responsibilities to take care of, but yet I still find time to take care of my hobby. Anyway, thank you, my brother. So let's go ahead with the next commentary. Teflon from Volcano Garrison, okay, in Hawaii. All right. Now, Teflon is one of those guys, by the way, that he's actually from Hawaii, okay? But he seems to be all over the place, okay? Every time there's an event, every time there's a tournament, guess who shows up? Tef. Okay, so Teflon is definitely all over the place, and I give him props because he enjoys this hobby so much that he makes the time. He takes the time to travel. He makes the investment because traveling is not cheap. It's not a thing that just, it's not free. Okay, you have to make a financial investment. So I give you props, Tef, for always being there. All right, so needless to say, Teflon, I first met Teflon at the YG Invitational last year, and I saw him again. I had the privilege of seeing him again at the Bloodbath this September, and and I always hear he's always going to all these events, and that's why I need to make a mention of that. All right, so in 6.2, my son Brandon actually helped me make the video, and once in a while he actually will pitch in and make a commentary. So No Limit, excuse me, wrote, "Good to see your kid drinking the ANA. The ANA aid there. Looks like Russia is extending its buffer zone to make it hard as possible for Sired Fuhrer to get those needed victory points, while at the same time decreasing Japan's zone to make it harder for G.I. Joe or J.I. Joe to keep his. Seems that Dutch was horsing around with his cavalry against that tank escort in Amur, but it was the Imperial Army that ended up with the long face." Okay, No Limit actually touched on several things here. I guess I should have broken it up as I was reading his response. So yes, my son is definitely absorbing the Axis and Allies Kool-Aid, No Limit, and Russia definitely is expanding its borders. Russia, okay, especially under the command of Dutch, okay, went on the offense even more so. Now, I do have to say, this is not to take any credit away from Dutch, because Dutch is an excellent player, very detail-oriented, okay. Having said that, though, War-Torn laid the groundwork for this to be able to happen, okay. Dutch now is capitalizing on the previous work that War-Torn did, okay. So now, the fact that, again, also that Germany went sea lion, that Germany is going into the Mediterranean, allows or gives the Russians the capacity to expand and to go and launch counteroffensives against the Germans and Italians. And tell you what, if you look at the map, okay, you can see that the Russians are actually in very well situated and are even at this point in time even threatening taking back Leningrad. Okay, if the Germans are not careful, they may end up losing Leningrad as well. Okay, and of course about the battle in reference to what happened in Japan, I mean in Asia, in Siberia, there was a battle that was fought between the Russians, okay, where they attacked with 2 light armored units that attack at 2 or less, okay, and that's a special rule of a special the not a special rule under the BBR, okay. The Mongolians, once they are activated, they get light cavalry or light armored units. Okay, so the Russians attacked Manchuria. That was not a Manchuria. Yeah, it was Manchuria that was defended by an armored unit and an infantry. So 2 at 2 attacked, 1 at 2 and 1 at 3. The Japanese should have won the battle, yet the Russians were successful, even though the odds were stacked against them, and that's what No Limit is referring to. Okay, so now let's go down. Let's go further down, and Stephen Gilchrist, okay, wrote, Russians have a solid ground front and air force to back up their counterattacks. Doesn't look like Moscow will fall in 2 turns, and I would agree with you, Stephen. Definitely. Not only is Moscow not in danger of falling, but Moscow is actually, Russia is actually now expanding. And it's the other, they are actually looking at potentially even taking Leningrad, okay? But he goes on and wrote and states, but with London under solid German control, don't think Tsar needs Moscow. Okay, that's a point. Yes, I can see that. With all that self-propelled artillery in Archangel and more so, Smolensk just looks like bait. Stalemate on Eastern Front might be best for Germany as they look to expand in other areas of the globe. And you know what, Stephen? I think you're making sense. I think that's what Sire is really betting on. He's looking for a stalemate, and that makes sense to me because at this point in time, we're currently round 6. We only have 2 more rounds left after round 6 finally is done with. There's no way that Germany can take Moscow. So that means that really the Germans are really looking more at a stalemate in the Eastern Front, okay? So you're correct on that, and I agree with you 100%. All right, so Alex Whitney, he wrote, Dtroy, you give such a fantastic oral presentation with your excellent video. Thank you, my brother. Thumbs up on that commentary. And again, I wouldn't do this without your support. Once again, thank you. Okay, my good buddy, my teammate Dutch, once again wrote, nice video, Detroit. Detroit, you're absolutely right when you said war-torn didn't have too much luck and laid down the foundation to make this offensive possible. Okay, I guess we're both in agreement, Dutch. All right, Ewan Garrettson wrote, awesome match. I'm looking to spice up the global 1940 game play with friends. May I ask what house rules you have for the session, or where can I find them? Would be much appreciated. Ewan, I believe I somehow missed this commentary because I don't believe I responded to you, so I apologize for that, and I really do hope that you're hearing this. Okay, you have 2 options. Okay, my previous video. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a link to my previous video where I review or give the Cliff Notes version of the BBR or Bloodbath rules. Okay, where you can watch my video where I review partially what the rule set is for this game. But what I suggest to you also is for you to check out Sire Blood's channel, where he has several videos, but he has one video, and again, I'm also going to provide in the description box a link where you can go back to the video where he goes into great detail with a lot of specificity in regards to the rule set involving the BBR. Okay, so BBR bloodbath rules. Okay, so if you're interested in this rule set, and I highly recommend that you give it a try, because it's definitely a lot of fun. Playing with the BBR allows you to play this game and in one sitting or one play session, which can last anywhere between, I would say, 7 to 8, 9 hours, you can have a winner and a loser by the end of the day. So as you guys well know, one of the big issues that we have involving the out-of-box game is that we basically always run out of time. And at the end of the day, when the game is over, or the day is over, the game is still going hot and heavy. You don't have a clear and convincing winner or loser for that matter. And now the debate is who won the game and who lost. Okay, the BBR does away with that. Okay, the BBR will allow you to have a clear-cut winner by the end of the day. So if you're interested in that, I suggest that you click on the two videos that I'm going to include in the links that I'm going to include to the two videos in the description box. All right, of this episode. All right, so Alvin Velasquez wrote. Now, Alvin Velasquez is one of the regulars that comes here to the Garrison. Great guy. He lives in the city, and he wrote a great video. Looking forward to 6.3. Thank you, my brother. By the way, Alvin, I have to reach out to you because on December 20th, if you're listening to this, December 20th, and if anybody who may be interested, I'm going to be having a session here at the Garrison. So any of you that want to play and that are nearby or want to play that day, you're more than welcome to, and that's for you as well, Alvin. And to any of the Garrison or any of the Garrison regulars. All right, so that's it for 6.2. Let's go ahead then with 6.3. Just bear with me here. Technology sometimes gets the best of me. Okay, 6.3 is Japan's turn. And of course, Japan is under the command of the United States, not the United States, under the command of G.I. Joe. In my description, I wrote, and I'm sorry, I should have, in the other two episodes, earlier, I forgot to go over the description box and the description of each video. And in this description, I wrote, the Japanese inflict a massive defeat on the U.S. fleet in Sea Zone 6, while Japanese land forces consolidate all over China. Yes, that was definitely... as we all know, the U.S. Navy in Sea Zone 6 had sustained massive damage. All of the U.S. naval ships, the capital naval ships, had been damaged, which presented a tempting target for the Japanese under the command of G.I. Joe. And as you guys know, G.I. Joe capitalized and sunk the American Navy to the bottom of the fleet. The U.S. lost 4 carriers, 1 battleship, and 2 cruisers. One of the 2 cruisers was an Anzac cruiser, by the way. All right, so Dutch wrote, Dutch Lancaster, Dtroy, those planes from Guangxi actually had 0 movements left. Hence, they need to buy those 2 carriers. I think he was trying to say that I think he's trying to say the Japanese fighters had to land on the carriers, okay, and that I goofed on the movement. Yes, I did goof on the movements, and yes, those Japanese fighters had to land on the fighters, which is what G.I. Joe did. I just didn't express myself right, and it came out wrong during the video, okay. And as always, Dutch is a very detail-oriented guy, and every time he notices a small mistake, whether it be me or someone else on YouTube, he'll quickly point out the error other ways. Thank you, Dutch. I really do appreciate your commentaries because it makes me better. All right, so yeah, somebody wrote. For some reason, I'm seeing. I don't see the who asked the question, but somebody asked me about my arm, and I was wearing some sort of wrapping on my left arm, and what happened was that I developed tendonitis. Okay, so and I used to work out a lot before. I haven't been working out in a couple of years, and I went gym crazy. So I started going back to the gym, working out again, and I kind of overdid it, and I injured myself. So I developed a case of tendonitis. So I had to get therapy for it, and I'm getting better because as soon as I get better, and I will be hopefully going back to the gym and working out again, which I miss very badly. Okay, so whoever asked, thank you, and I appreciate you asking about my arm. Okay, so Stephen Gilchrist, he wrote, Japan took control back of the Pacific, but ground war in Asia is running out of steam. He's talking about the Japanese. As for different allies are closing in on China. Very true. Okay. Definitely, even though the Japanese took out the American fleet in Sea Zone 6, the Japanese have a very tough situation in China because basically they're surrounded. The Japanese are unable at this point in time to replace their losses. Okay, the industrial complex in Guangxi is unable to produce enough war material to replace the losses. So currently the Japanese are facing not only the Russians, who have a large army of 14 infantry in Jehol, but they're also facing the Chinese that have a substantial infantry army as well. I think about I think it's about 9 or 10 infantry, the Chinese. Then to the south, you have the Americans and the British coming with a combined force of maybe also like 9 or 10 ground units facing them. So definitely, I believe the numerical advantage is something like 3-1 right now. 3-1 in favor of the Allies. Okay, and also the Americans are definitely putting a lot of pressure on Japan because the American Air Force can easily come within reach of Sea Zone 6 or anywhere in the Pacific. So it's very tough for the Japanese at this point in time. And I give credit to my friend Generalissimo G.I. Joe for actually putting up a good fight. I know it's tough, and I give him credit for doing what he has done. All right, so good commentary, Stephen. Good observation on your part. He went on to further write or wrote, I think the Japanese will be able to hold Shanghai for 2 turns, but with a lack of transports, other objectives going to be tough. US still has a strong presence, and if a factory placed in Korea, Japan will be looking at either 3 US tanks or bombers a turn. Good luck. Okay, so that's something that I considered also, the possibility of building an industrial complex in Korea. But I'm not sure if I'm going to go ahead and do that, to be honest, because it may be too little too late. I think it may make more sense for the US just to build aircraft at this point in time. Because again, the US has, for its technology, long-range aircraft, and it makes sense just to do that. But I don't know, I may actually end up taking you up on that and putting an industrial complex round 6. Actually, no, round 7, not 6. All right, so let's see. Good observation, Stephen. Oh, it was Brett Whalen that asked me, "Is your arm okay?" For some reason, my response doesn't show up here, but it shows up further up on the on the screen here. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, thanks for asking, Brett, for how my arm was doing. And No Limit wrote, J.I. Joe. Japanese issue Joe. Get it? J.I. Joe? Oh, whatever. Anyway, J.I. Joe is now tasting how sweet revenge can truly be. Now all he has to do is to prevent the Allies from taking the VC points while the other Axis powers try to take the last. 3 VCs before the sands of time run out for the 8th round. Yeah, you know what? Joe definitely got some payback. I have to admit that it hurt losing my fleet in Season 6, man. It hurt. It took me a long time to build that fleet, and the loss of that fleet was not an easy thing to see. Okay, so but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go out on a limb, no limit, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't need that fleet to deal with the Japanese. I think the Allies, without any American naval support, can still take on the Japanese. All right, so that's just my commentary. And all right, so Muffet Field, great guy, Muffet Field. Man, what a customizer he is. This guy is an amazing customizer, and he's a great guy, very humble, very well spoken. I met Muffet Field and I believe it was actually in Canada last year, and I saw him again now at the Bloodbath in California. In any case, he wrote China tank. He's actually asking, China tank in the Amur? China cannot move there. Was that an American tank? Okay, yeah, he's talking about the two tanks, the two light armored units that attacked the Japanese in Manchuria. You had a Japanese tank and a Japanese infantry division defending. And because I don't have cavalry in my collection of game pieces, instead of using cavalry, okay, which is part of the BBR, instead of using cavalry, I ended up using light armored units as my cavalry, and that's why he's asking where did those come from. Okay. All right, so that's the explanation for that. All right, that's it for 6.2. Actually, that was 6.3. Let's go ahead with 6.4. Of course, 6.4 was the episode where I go over the U.S. turn. Okay, in the description box of the video, I wrote, USA goes on the offensive in China and pushes Japanese forces back. And yes, that's what I did with the US in China. Fortunately for the USA, even though the US fleet in Season 6 had been sunk, I still had pre-placed on the previous round naval transports that had been brought over from the US with ground units. Okay, so my ground units were dropped off in Sumatra and Malaya, I believe, and now they're actually on the Chinese mainland. Okay, so those ground units are critical and are going to play a key role in securing several victory objectives in mainland China. Okay, so that's what I wrote for my description for that for 6.4. Okay, Corporal 24, my teammate, wrote, the British battleship and cruiser have been the most useless ships in this damn war. My brother, I can understand your frustration for feeling so. I can definitely hear you. And yeah, you know what? It's one of those things that, with you losing, unfortunately, with the loss of the UK, it was an unexpected turn of events for us with the Germans taking London, and by the UK prematurely collapsing, all of a sudden you had really few options as far as what to do with your navy, with your fleet. But you know what? Having said that, though, I believe that fleet, even though you really haven't used it for much, it is now a critical component of the support system that the U.S. fleet now has in the Atlantic. That battleship and that cruiser? Cruiser are playing a critical role with defending the U.S. Navy, the U.S. fleet in the Atlantic. So at least, you could take that to the bank and go with it and not feel too bad. Okay, let's scroll. Let's go further down. Okay. Alvin Velasquez once again. Manchuria goes to China income as well as the other territories you liberated for China. Okay, Alvin is bringing up to my attention that Manchuria goes to China, and that's because during my round I goofed and I mentioned and I gave I placed a U.S. control marker in Manchuria, designating Manchuria as an American controlled territory. And Alvin goes ahead and points out for me that that I'm mistaken in that Manchuria actually goes to China because it's considered a liberated territory. So thanks for looking out, brother. I did catch on to that after the fact, and I believe someone else also pointed it out for me. Okay, Teflon from Volcano Garrison wrote, Brandon is a brilliant young man. Great idea. Okay, what Teflon is referring to when when he says that that Brandon is brilliant is that during one of the videos, I believe it was actually 6.4 or 6. Yeah, during this video, Brandon mentioned that it was very smart for Germany under the command of Sire to go and attack, okay, Sea Lion, to perform the fake and then to go, and take Sea Lion. Yes, it was. And Brandon, he's 10 years old. Even Brandon saw that. He knows a lot about the game. He was able to acknowledge and recognize that it was very smart for Sire to go and take the UK and to split his forces. Okay, so Stephen Gilchrist, once again, he writes, well done. Japan is in total defensive mode now. US can focus on Germany. Well, yeah, definitely the fact that the Japanese fleet was sunk and the fact that the US air power is present in the Pacific and the fact that the Allies are really coming into their own now in mainland China allowed the US to focus on Europe by building not only ground units but a large fleet that the Axis on the Atlantic theater of war, where now the Axis powers have to deal with that. Okay, so the U.S. can now have the luxury of doing so. Of course, that's only possible because the situation in the Pacific is becoming more I guess, more in control. Okay, that I can't think of another adjective. All right, so in any case, let's move on and let's go with what No Limit wrote. I love long-range aircraft. It helped my U.S. forces conquer the Japanese capital in my very first YouTube game, and it's helping you tightening the noose against Japan in mainland Asia. Yeah, without a doubt, for the U.S., if you're going Pacific, the technology that you should develop should be long-range aircraft. Dark Knight wrote, good job, Johnny. Okay, that's it for 6.4. Let's go ahead with 6.5. The United Kingdom. Okay, and the United Kingdom is under the control of Corporal 24. And let's see what I wrote for in the description box. The UK liberates Sichuan province and opens up the Burma Road while bracing for Axis attacks in the Mediterranean and Egyptian fronts. Yes. Yes, the UK liberated Sichuan, which what that means now is that the Burma Road is back in commission. The Chinese can now start purchasing light armored units or cavalry units, artillery, and also armored units, okay? according to the BBR, the Chinese are allowed to purchase up to 2 tanks throughout the entirety of the game. You can't purchase 2 tanks in one fell swoop, but you could definitely buy tanks, at least one per round, only but twice in the whole game, okay? All right, so definitely the opening up of the Burma Road gives China the opportunity to further prosecute the war against Japan. So definitely things are starting to look up for China. Okay, so the Axis are definitely looking to expand in the Mediterranean. As I said to you before, the Mediterranean is a basket case full of victory objectives for the Axis. Okay, so that's why they're there. And definitely things are going to start happening. And I just hope that the Allies will be able to contain and hopefully deny the Axis powers additional victory objective points in the Mediterranean. So let's scroll down and let's see what the guys wrote. Corporal 24 wrote, good work as always. Thank you, my brother. Hambone wrote, might be helpful to point out all the victory objectives that Axis currently have based on this rule set, especially for those who aren't familiar with the rule sets. Okay. Hambone, great guy. Met him in California in the bloodbath, and he pointed out for me that I should go over the victory conditions for this game. And it's something that had actually gone over my head, and I hadn't thought about that. I make videos all the time, and you guys don't know where the goalpost is. Okay, so I picked up on my friend's advice, and what I actually did is that I created a video, which I'm going to include in the description box of this video, this commentary and review video, where I actually created, again, the Cliff Notes version of the BBR, okay? Again, I'm repeating, but if you guys want to go into further detail, click on the other link where it will directly send you to Sireblood's video, where he goes into great detail what the BBR rules are. Okay, so let's go further down. Dutch Lancaster, my teammate, wrote, I like how you pointed out how exciting the game still is and how it can be anyone's victory at this point. Yes, you know what? This game is still very exciting for us. I'm having a blast, not only me, but my teammates, and even many of you are having a blast just watching and hearing my rants here on commentary and review. Okay, so and it's, of course, it's still anybody's game. The Axis can definitely win this game, but the Allies can also win this game still, believe it or not. Okay, all right, so Brett Wallen wrote, is your arm doing better? Saw that Band-Aid a few movies ago. Yes, my arm is definitely doing better. And as a matter of fact, look, no more wraps. Okay, so it is doing a lot better, but I still need to do more therapy in order for it to get better. Teflon, Volcano Garrison, beautifully painted pieces. Teflon always gives me props for my customized painted pieces that I use for this game. Okay, Hoard the Hoarder. Never seen him before, but he wrote, hey man, love your work. I find a lot of inspiration from your videos as I expand and enhance my own game. Might ask, where you got that stands for your aircraft? Hey, Hoard the Hoarder. Hey, I'm so glad that you are finding my videos inspirational, that you find my content worth watching, and that as a consequence and as a result, your own gaming gets better. I'm so glad that's the case. All right, and of course, I already reached out to you, and I let you know that where you can get those flight stands. They are from War-Torn, absolutely War-Torn, up in Canada, who's one of the regulars at the Clayside Bunker in Ontario, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I still have yet to call War-Torn and let him know that he's interested in purchasing that you are interested in purchasing his flight stands. I'll let him know. Okay, so Stephen Gilchrist wrote, yes, I agree. It's still anyone's game. Japanese can still make a fight for. Okay, Japanese can still make a fight if allies take Hong Kong, but more allied infantry in China than any other theater of war. Yes, it's interesting that. Listen, guys. Honestly, it's a good point that Stephen is bringing up again, and that in the Pacific theater of war, in particular China, you have more Allied ground units than in any other theater of war. You know, there are, I believe that the Allies outnumber the Japanese ground units by more than 3-1. Okay, so the Japanese are just fighting everybody, man, and it's tough for them. I feel bad for Joe because it's like you take one guy down, then you have to fight the other guy, and when you're done with him, you have to fight with the guy in the middle. You know, you're done in the middle. When you're done with the guy in the middle, who's now my front, you got to deal with the guy in the back, so on and so on. So it's really tough, and of course, it's tough because the U.S. went 100% Pacific strategy, and that's something that is very difficult for Japan to deal with and counter. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for this session of commentary and review. I know we went a little bit long, but for those of you who are hardcore watchers and viewers of my channel, you will have put up with this long video. I normally stay away from making very long videos because I know that we are all busy and that time is lacking, to say the least. But I do appreciate you guys if you're still here watching this video, and I do appreciate you sticking by and watching. All right, so as always, guys, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to hear more of your commentary for the next commentary and review. And as always, don't forget to bunker down and play.